December 8th, 2024. Loud fighting noises echoed through Damascus, the ancient capital of Syria. After years of a terrible civil war, the last big fight for the country had started. Rebel groups, all teamed up against President Assad, launched a big attack. Their goal, the center of Assad's power. Everyone felt a mix of excitement and fear. The streets, once busy with people, were now empty and damaged. Buildings were destroyed, sad reminders of the constant bombing. The smell of gunpowder filled the air like a warning of the trouble to come. The Syrian army, weakened and discouraged after years of losing, fought back desperately, but their strength was fading. The rebels, stronger after recent wins and driven by a powerful desire for freedom, kept moving forward. The final attack on Damascus was a scene of fire and explosions, the result of years of pain and sacrifice. This fight would decide the future of Syria, a country hoping for peace and freedom. The rebel attack, led by the group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, had started weeks earlier in western Aleppo. Their plan was bold, a fast attack on the government's center, avoiding strong defenses and taking advantage of the weak Syrian army. The first attack was quick and fierce. Rebel fighters, toughened by years of fighting, outsmarted and beat government soldiers. City after city was taken by the rebels, each win making them stronger and closer to Damascus. The government's defenses, once thought to be super strong, crumbled. Assad, realizing he was losing, tried desperate things. He sent his air force in a last try to stop the rebels. But the rebels were ready and had weapons to shoot down planes. The fall of Damascus wasn't one single fight, but a series of wins that ended Assad's rule. It showed how tough the rebels were, how smart their plans were, and how much Syrians wanted freedom. As rebels stormed the presidential palace, Bashar al-Assad, the man who had ruled Syria with an iron fist for over 20 years, ran away. He left his people, his country, and even some of his family, escaping to Moscow to hide with his friend Vladimir Putin. His close advisors, once thought to be powerful, scattered. His brother, Maher al-Assad, the head of a feared army group, disappeared. People said he went to Iraq or Russia, but no one knew for sure. His cousin, Rami Makhlouf, who controlled the regime's money, also went to Moscow, leaving behind a mess of corruption and stolen money. Only the broken remains of their fancy homes and the memory of their betrayal were left. The Assad family, once seemingly unstoppable, had fallen, leaving a ruined country and people wanting justice. After Assad's government collapsed, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the strongest rebel group, quickly took control in the capital. Their black and white flags, once symbols of rebellion, now flew over government buildings. HTS fighters, well-trained and organized, set up checkpoints around the city to stop looting and revenge attacks. They took weapons from remaining government soldiers and worked to protect important places like power plants and hospitals. Their main goal, to stop the country from falling into chaos. HTS knew it was important to get things working again, so they quickly reopened schools, bakeries and stores. They gave out emergency supplies and made it easy for people to report problems. Their quick actions, while criticized by some, stopped widespread disorder and helped start a peaceful change of power. Even as people celebrated in Damascus, the hard work of rebuilding a broken country began. A new temporary government formed before Assad fell started to create a new system. Mohammed al-Bashir, a respected teacher and former prisoner, became prime minister. His first action, a call for everyone to come together and rebuild their country. Syrian embassies around the world, many of which had supported the rebels, raised the new flag of the revolution. A strong sign of the regime's end. The Ba'ath Party, Assad's political group, was officially ended. Their money and property, much of it stolen from the Syrian people, was taken by the new government. The future was full of challenges. Years of harsh rule had left the country's systems broken, its economy ruined and its people divided. But with Assad gone, there was hope, a chance to build a new Syria free from tyranny. Assad's fall brought huge celebrations in Syria and among Syrians living in other countries. In Damascus, happy crowds celebrated their freedom, dancing on broken statues of Hafez al-Assad, Bashar's father. Years of anger and frustration came out. People tore down pictures of Assad and shouted against his rule. It felt like a huge relief after decades of oppression. But amidst the celebrations, people also wanted justice. Many wanted Assad and his people punished for war crimes. The International Criminal Court was asked to investigate the terrible things that happened during the war. Others, tired of violence, wanted forgiveness. They believed real justice meant building a new Syria where such terrible things would never happen again. Assad's fall was a huge change for Syria, but it was just the start of a long, hard journey toward healing justice and a truly free country. When a government falls, there are often powerful symbolic acts that show the big change and rejection of the old ways. In Damascus, these acts were strong and meaningful, showing how much people wanted to erase Assad's legacy. News cameras around the world showed a man climbing on a fallen statue of Hafez al-Assad and painting the dictator's eyes black. It was a powerful rejection of the constant watching and control under the Assads. At Assad's fancy home, people stepped on his picture, grinding it into the dirt. This was a symbolic way of taking back power and getting rid of the fear that had been part of Syrian life for so long. These actions, while maybe small in the big picture of rebuilding a country, were very important. They showed a purging of the past, a release of anger, and a powerful statement by people who had been denied their rights for too long. As the excitement died down, the hard work of rebuilding began. There were huge challenges, buildings were destroyed, the economy was broken, and people were deeply divided after years of fighting, but there were signs of hope. Ordinary Syrians started going back home, cleaning up and getting back to their lives. Shops and markets slowly reopened, even though they didn't have much to sell. The new government knew it had to get basic services working again, so they focused on fixing electricity, water, and hospitals. Groups from other countries who had been kept out by Assad came in to help. Rebuilding would take a long time, but with Assad gone, there was a feeling of hope and determination. Syrians, after so much suffering, now had a chance to build a better, fairer, and more successful country. Bashar al-Assad's fall ended a period in Syria, but it was also the start of a long and uncertain future. The country had many challenges: rebuilding, healing divisions, fixing the economy, and creating a new government. There was still danger from Assad loyalists and the possibility of more violence. Different armed groups, each with their own goals, made things even more complicated. Countries around the world, wanting to help rebuild, also had to deal with their own past inaction during the war. But even with these challenges, there were big opportunities. With Assad gone, Syrians could create a new society based on democracy, human rights, and fair laws. The world, having seen the terrible results of not doing enough in Syria, had a duty to help Syrians build a peaceful and better future. The road ahead was difficult, but the Syrian people, after enduring so much, had the strength and courage to rebuild their country and take their place in the world.